Look, guys, I know that I've waffled on quite a lot tonight, and I know that it is quite hard hearing all of this and concentrating on basically me reading a load of text, and it's quite boring. Okay, I do get that, and I do get at the end of me finishing this, I've just sort of like quickly rattled on, please help, please donate, stuff like that. It is an important issue. Okay, it's something that has affected me dearly, personally, and I do thoroughly believe in supporting this charity. Okay, despite what some people may think, yeah, I do believe in supporting this charity. So yeah, I'm sorry for sort of like rattling on, and if there's any of you guys that have watched all of the videos all the way through, I really, really appreciate you doing that, because I know it's a lot to take in. This is something I've read God knows how many times, and it's hard enough just sitting here reading it to you, let alone you actually sitting there listening to me reading it to you. So, yeah, I'd just like to say thank you, and I'll stick this little message at the start as well as at the end. Okay? Cheers, guys. Right then, moving on, because I want to get this finished tonight, and hopefully I'll finish this in this 20-minute session. So, not a lot left, and my backside is actually getting sore from sitting on this chair. So, past and or current mental health history. Now this is point number 13. A history of self-harm. Never come across that. I've never done that. May have a history of crying a lot without knowing why. Again, not me, not come across it. May have a lengthy history of going to therapists, psychiatrists and psychologists. Nope, neither. May have tried a variety of medicines. Nope. Experiences social anxiety and generalised anxiety disorder or selective mutism. Well, I think we know what selective mutism is. No, I've not had that. I don't know if anyone else has. Generalised anxiety, yes, you've got Asperger's, yes, you're going to have a generalised anxiety. That's what it's all about. Social anxiety fits me as well as people I know. May have obsessive compulsive disorders or traits. Bing. May have one or more of the 7 types of ADHD as discussed earlier. That is a separate issue. However, it's an interesting read, and I just wish I could get someone to actually look at that. Has experienced ongoing depressions and or tiredness, exhaustion without knowing why. No, not me. Apart from when I get dehydrated, as I found out today, when I felt utterly wretched and thought I really can't face doing any filming tonight again, and then I drank another litre and a half of water and I'm absolutely fine. So nope, nothing to do with Asperger's or a trait. A history of trying to understand oneself or finding answers to explain oneself and why she feels she is different or doesn't fit in as a woman, man. Yep, totally seen that. Again, that's self-diagnosing. Like I've said countless times already in these videos, you can't do better than going to speaking to someone who really understands and will take time to understand you on a neutral setting, a neutral ground. Not like me, who's spent time trying to understand, but it's not neutral. Someone like Action for Asperger's. A history of many doctors and counsellors visits throughout university life, pass. May have a family history of autism, Asperger's syndrome, bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, ADHD, OCD, anxiety disorders. Yeah, I mean, the more I look at my own actual family, the more I see traits of Asperger's and autism and stuff like that. So, may have been misdiagnosed with bipolar disorder, borderline personality disorder, or schizophrenia. No. May have been previously diagnosed with anxiety disorders, depression and eating disorder, borderline personality disorder, bipolar disorder and or ADHD. Pass. A history of depression, anxiety, eating disorders, huge mood swings. No, don't know any of that. Number 14, coping mechanisms. Compensatory mechanisms, coping mechanisms, are unfortunately what lead many an individual to receive a diagnosis much later in life when they cannot keep the mask on anymore. Hear those words. If you're hearing me, hear those words. Coping mechanisms are unfortunately what lead many an individual to receive a diagnosis much later in life when they cannot keep the mask on anymore. So yes, you may be able to keep this up for a long time. You may find you can't keep it on at all in the end. So one way or another, sooner rather than later, you're going to need to have some help. May have turned to alcohol, drugs, smoking in order to cope with intense emotions, self-medicate and or socialise, fit in and or be accepted within a group. Yes, my younger years, peer pressure, I only fit in, drugs, drink, whatever. May use a different persona when out in public in order to cope. Nope. May have developed a variety of dysfunctional coping mechanisms. For example, arrogance and or narcissism. Right, well, I know I've been accused of that. That's narcissism. However, everyone that knows me can look up the definitions of narcissism, and they fit Hitler, they fit Donald Trump, they fit Mariah Carey, whatever bloody name is, they fit Madonna, because of their belief in one's superiority, and have this entourage of people that they trample all over beneath them. People like Trump with his whole persona of wanting to look the best and be the best and is prepared to walk over anyone to get there. It doesn't fit me. So, but again, that's a topic we will be picking up at some point. May change gender or sexuality to attempt to fit in and or find the right group. Has used imitation, social... how do I pronounce this word? Echolalia. Has used imitation, social echolalia, which is basically the meaningless repetition of another person's words. Right? So social echolalia, to pretend to be normal, fake it or pass for normal. Actual social echolalia. Kamel, if you're watching this, that's you. May rock standing up, laying down in a rocking chair to calm down or self-soothe. May need to withdraw into bed or a dark area or place of solitude to gain privacy, quiet and manage sensory and or social overload. Yeah, I must admit, for instance, earlier on I was talking about being in a shopping centre earlier on today, and I find it overwhelming. And the second I've got my food, I'm like, outside, and eat it outside where it's a lot calmer and chilled. And I actually go to the other side of the road where there is no one, rather than just standing directly outside, so that I'm completely by myself. And it's like a calming back down process. Withdrawal and avoidance. May have developed a personality disorder as a means of coping with Asperger's syndrome. 15. Oh, excuse me, I've got itchy nose. I think I'm going to sneeze. 15. A sixth sense, intuition and psychic abilities. This is where we're going to come up with the whole empath thing and everything. Has the ability to feel other people's emotions, take on the emotions of others. So when I get accused of you're projecting your negativity on someone else, no, I'm not projecting my negativity. You're picking up on my negativity, of which, as I started saying earlier, I would say half the time I'm not being negative. You're just perceiving that I'm being negative because of your context blindness. And you're not being able to understand people as well as you could. You think I'm being negative, and then you pick up on that. I'm not projecting negativity. So, to take on emotions of others, may know or have knowledge of certain things, but no idea how she knows, aka vibing. Maybe a professional psychic or medium, possesses one or more psychic abilities, is an empath. Right, so let's just stop there. So, vibing, psychics or mediums, psychic abilities, and empath. Now, an empath is, again, picking up on people's emotions and copying their emotions and stuff. Now, I know some really nice, I know one particularly really nice person that actually classes themselves as an empath. I know one other person that I fucking can't stand that also classes themselves as some sort of psychic medium empath. One, I don't really know if they are or if they're not. I'm very open-minded about all of these things and about the processes of the human mind, like the 9/10 of the human mind that we do not understand or know how it works, or that we don't use. And people that are very clever, and some people that show psychic abilities, parts of these other 9/10 are working and rapidly firing. So there's a science there that's unproven, and I'm very much into proven science. So there's a science there that is unproven either way. So I'm going to stay open-minded about it, okay? However, I'm not a firm believer in it. Sensitive to other people's negativity, yeah? So it's not projecting negativity, it's someone is sensitive to someone else's negativity or their perceived negativity. Often confused by the feelings she is having. May take on pain of others, aka mirror touch synesthesia. Oh yes, that's where someone actually, you broke a finger, they'll feel it. A weird thing, I know, but apparently yes, it does exist. Again, it's another one of these sort of unproven scientific things. 16. Unique abilities and strengths. May have perfect or relative perfect pitch. I assume they mean singing pitch. Autodidactic, in other words, teaches oneself. Intelligence, craves knowledge and loves learning. Can teach himself just about anything he puts their mind to. Has a strong will, is determined and independent. I have a strong will, I am determined, and I am bloody independent. However, I choose to share. Perfectionist. Used to be, not anymore. Mind you saying that, I do know people that are actually some of those things. I've seen perfectionists, strong will, determined, independent, 100%. Teaching themselves, yes, 100%. Craves knowledge. I crave knowledge. I love learning. Quite a few of those things I've seen in other people. Have a remarkable long-term memory, stroke photographic memory. I don't know if someone else that I know has a photographic memory or not. It's one of those sort of, I'm not going to ask someone to prove it. However, I have seen people look at things and just know what they've looked at, and they don't need to look again. And I constantly check. So I'll give you an example. London Underground. You're on the tube. You got the tube map. Now, most people watching this would have seen the map of the London Underground, and it is quite in depth. Okay, and there's lines crossing through different stations, and there's lots of different stations, and you've got to know where to get off and which coloured line to get back on. And now, someone I know looks at that, glances across, and goes, "Yep, right, no worries," and just gets on with it. And you're 20 minutes in the journey, you're going through stations. Now, I have to constantly look and check, the next one coming up is Putney. And look out the window, at Putney. Next one coming up. Yet they just know it. They just know it. Now, I know they've travelled there. However, I've travelled there as well, and I still have to check. So, yes, to a certain degree, I do believe in the photographic memory. Remarkable long-term memory. Maybe they have, maybe they haven't. I don't know. I would assume if you've got a photographic memory, you must have a remarkable long-term memory. However, long-term memory is something that I've been led to believe that I haven't got, but I know I have got a good long-term memory, as previously said in another video. A great sense of humour, generally speaking. Can work very well in a crisis situation. Well, funnily enough, I can as well. However, in a crisis situation, I generally collapse afterwards. I had to deal with my dad, well, stroke and mum choking to death and calling ambulances. I've dealt with all of that. Deeply reflective thinker, yes. Resilience and ability to go from one crisis to another, to bounce back, to start again, time and time again. Yes, to a certain degree, I've been like that. I found it very difficult this time round. But in fact, I've found it almost impossible this time round. Attention to detail. Yes, I've got good attention to detail. Great in one-on-one situations or presenting to a group. I am great in a one-on-one teaching situation. Groups, I can do that now. I wouldn't have been able to do it when I was younger. More like philosophers than professors, but can be both. Seeing in the mind's eye, exact details, gifted visual learner. That's not me. Maybe gifted with art, music, writing, languages, programming, acting, writing, editing. It does say editing. Singing and athlete. Well, the only one I can say is with the snowboarding. Athlete, very close to being one. Maybe highly intuitive. I have to let someone else answer that one for me. I can't say if I am or I'm not. Capable of deep philosophical thinking. Females with Asperger's often become writers, vets, engineers, psychologists, social workers, psychiatrists, poets, artists, singers, performers, actresses, doctors, entrepreneurs, or professors. Well, I like to think I'm a deep philosophical thinker. Or do I just think things over in a loop? I'm not sure. I know I think things over in a loop, that's for sure. Right, so next. Number 17, challenges. We're nearly getting to the end now. May be difficult to understand subtle emotions, e.g. when someone is jealous or embarrassed, uninterested or bored. No, I can actually pick up on that. I'm not so sure about others. In fact, I'm almost certain others can't. Keeping up appearances, passing for normal. Managing emotions and getting easily hurt by others, even if the other person was innocent. Learning difficulties. No, that's saying I've not had and not seen. May get very upset with an unexpected change. Yes, I've seen that. May not be able to tell when someone is flirting with him, her. Well, maybe I don't know if someone's flirting with me. I would just say, generally speaking, people don't flirt with me. So, challenging to work and they find it challenging to work and function within a group. No. Yes, I've seen that actually. Function in a group. I've seen that, despite the fact that some people like to think that they're fine working in a group. I've seen that they're not. Can I work in a group? Yes, as previously mentioned in another video. Yes, I can work in a group, but I do prefer to be working by myself. Have a need for highly controlled environment to sleep in? No, not really. I like to have a bit of light so I can see if I need to get up in the middle of the night. Great difficulty and very sensitive to conflict, stress, arguments, fighting, wars, gossip and negativity, however ironically may engage in it themselves. Again, this come up earlier in one of the earlier videos. Yes, I've seen that. Right, so, can be very negative and have catastrophic feelings. I've seen that, and catastrophic feelings, in my experience dealing with this, yes, I felt that. Social chit-chats, small talk, conversation without a function, maintaining friendships and relationships, social anxiety and social phobia. We picked up this as an earlier point. In one of the other videos, that, you know, people can do this, but they can actually engage in it themselves even though they don't like it. So yeah, social chit chat, small talk, conversation without a function, maintaining friendships, relationships, and social anxiety and social phobia. It's under the heading of challenges. They find it a challenge. Social anxiety, I've already said that. For me, may like or prefer to be by herself, himself as much as possible. Not me. May find it challenging to understand what others expect of him, her. I find it challenging to. Let's not drop that. I find it challenging to understand what others expect of me to expect of them. I don't generally find that situation in any. I've never come across that situation where I don't know what someone else expects me to be like regarding them. But when I actually ask them, they can't answer. It's very frustrating. Have boundary issues, executive function challenges, may have difficulty filling out forms, doing paperwork, completing taxes, budgeting money, finishing a task or job, planning meals, the day, the week, answering the phone, or talking to people on the phone, how to start a particular task and get it completed, knowing where their possessions are, going to appointments, waiting in line or at an appointment. So they find these things challenging. Now, I fall into a lot of these categories, so going backwards. Do I find appointments challenging? Do I find waiting in line challenging? No. Going to appointments challenging? No. Do I know where my possessions are? Yes. Task getting right. I find it challenging to how to start a particular task and getting it completed. I find it challenging talking to people on the phone, funnily enough, but it's something I've learnt to deal with in business. Finishing a task or job, again, that goes with how to start a particular task in the first place. Budgeting, no, I haven't got too much of a problem with that. However, doing paperwork, filling out forms and stuff, it's like mundane shit. Yeah, I do find it a bit of a challenge to start. Once I'm started, I'm generally all right though. May have difficulty recognising and remembering faces. Cannot verbalise their feelings as they are often unsure of what they are feeling. Seen that? Well, they just don't verbalise anything, in my experience. So yeah, it's a written thing rather than a verbal thing. May experience existential dread. I've seen it on someone's face. I have seen it on someone's face, and when it's regarding yourself, it's so. You feel so bad, so bad, that you couldn't have done something better or different or whatever to stop them feeling that way. Has difficulty with unexpected visitors just dropping over. Something I didn't know until fairly recently. Gullibility or social naivety can get them into enormous trouble. Will often take at face value what a person says about another person. Definitely not me. Then there's a whole section on empathy. Empathy may have a lack of cognitive empathy and hyper-empathy, e.g. Too much affective or sympathetic empathy. Now there's a whole section here of empathy, but I think the whole empathy issue is another complete subject. So sympathy, often we're very nearly at the end now, the last bit. Sympathy often has too much sympathy, placing her in danger. For example, I once had a young client who brought a homeless man home because she said he had no home. Yeah, I can't really imagine anyone I know doing that. I certainly wouldn't. May have poor muscle tone, connective tissue disorder, double jointed, fine or gross motor skill issues. Nope, never come across that, not me. Number 20, may have an intense desire to please others and be liked by others and be a people pleaser. May become highly distressed if she has the perception that someone does not like her or actually does not like her. So perception that they don't like her, or actually doesn't like her. Does that sound familiar to anyone? Yeah? Me. It is me through and through. Okay? May have an intense desire to please others and be liked by others and be a people pleaser. May become highly distressed. I wouldn't necessarily say highly distressed, but with my personal situation, higher distress. I mean, people at work, if they don't like me, then it's their problem. But my personal situation and people around them, yes, highly distressed if I have the perception that they don't like me, or find out that they actually don't like me. So yes, yeah, there you go. I've admitted it. Executive functioning difficulties may include trouble making decisions, time management, planning ahead, organisation, completing tasks. I've been accused of that, and I know I have some slight failings in that. I also know other people that suffer from that, even though they accuse me of it. So, may have spent a lifetime of using enormous effort to socially pretend, fake it, fit in, pass for normal. Yes, I've seen that. May have utilised body language books, mirrors, acting drama classes to improve social skills. I don't know. I certainly haven't. May have tocophobia, the fear of childbirth or other fears, death, dying, a changing body, for example. No, definitely I don't fear anything like that. Certainly not childbirth. May have gender dysphoria, as previously mentioned, also known as gender identity disorder, dysphoria, and is a formal diagnosis for individuals who feel and experience significant stress and unhappiness with their birth gender and or general roles. These individuals are known as transsexual or transgender. So there you go, you've had it. They may basically think that they're trans of one type or another and they are dissatisfied with their own sexual orientation or configuration of their body parts. No, not me, and no, I don't believe I've ever met anyone like it. Photographic visual memory, previously mentioned, an intense and continued need to figure oneself out. Yes, and I keep saying it, stop trying to figure yourself out, go and get the help you need, like I have, and then you will know yourself. You will have help figuring yourself out. So there you go. There is all of the typical traits. I actually come to number 26 in the end. The rest are all subcategories of the same, really. So they're the traits of the research that I've been doing. I will say, if you've watched all 4 or 5 parts of this, thank you very much. Any questions, please feel free to ask. I will, at the end of this one, I'll stick up all of the, not the research notes, but I will stick up the links for all of this so you can go back and read it online. Remember the author, Tanya Marshall, loads of YouTube videos and stuff like that. So if you're actually, struggling with some of the terms, or you're someone who has Asperger's or thinks you might have Asperger's, and you're on this mission to find oneself out, I think starting with her YouTube clips and looking at her paperwork, I think is a great start. But definitely talking to someone like Action for Asperger's is definitely the way forward in the end, so you're not doing it alone. Right, well, this is the time where I say you can understand from me spending 2 hours on camera, I should think it's what it's going to be, 2.5 hours, talking about this. It's a very, very complex subject, and it only affects me fractionally compared to other people, and I've seen other people that are affected by the majority of the things in this, and quite frankly, it to a certain degree, it makes them an unhappy person. And as much as I've wanted to make people happy, obviously I'm not the one to make them happy, and you know, that they could do with finding help themselves rather than dealing with it by themselves. Now, they're only going to be able to find the help, the available help, by, you know, you can go to the NHS, but then it means going to see doctors and get referrals and stuff. And this is the sort of thing that someone with Asperger's just simply isn't going to do. It's so much easier to just talk to email, because a lot of people can only do things by the written form, not the verbal form. It's a lot easier for them to actually email someone, and therefore someone like Action for Asperger's, will talk to you via email, Skype, telephone call, face to face in their offices or on their outreach groups. But these cost money, and they are a charity. They receive. Right, like the guy that I've met here in Berlin from Australia, whose cousin's got Asperger's, and he totally gets what I'm doing, because Action for Asperger's, half of their work is dealing with people with the condition, half the work is dealing with people who are in the family unit that have to understand people with the condition, and they are the type of people that I wish I'd known about 2 years ago, before I had basically really got underneath someone's skin who suffers the condition, and driven a wedge between us, someone who I care about deeply, and there wouldn't be a whole world of shit now if I'd understood this a lot sooner. So, you know, for me and for people with Asperger's, and for people's families of people that suffer Asperger's, please donate, okay? Because they're not going to be able to survive without people like you guys and people like me supporting and raising money for them. So, this is one time where I will say thank you very much. Look, guys, I know that I've waffled on quite a lot tonight, and I know that it is quite hard hearing all of this and concentrating on basically me reading a load of text, and it's quite boring, okay? I do get that, and I do get at the end of me finishing this, I've just sort of like quickly rattled on, you know, please help, please donate, stuff like that. It is an important issue, okay? It's something that has affected me dearly, personally, and I do thoroughly believe in supporting this charity, okay? Despite what some people may think, yeah, I do believe in supporting this charity. So yeah, I'm sorry for sort of like rattling on, and you know, if there's any of you guys that have watched all of the videos all the way through, I really, really appreciate you doing that, because I know it's a lot to take in. This is something I've read God knows how many times, and it's hard enough just sitting here reading it to you, let alone you actually sitting there listening to me reading it to you. So yeah, I'd just like to say thank you, and I'll stick this little message at the start as well as at the end. Okay, cheers guys.